time for News Extra, brought to you by Intralinks, and here's Kevin Mooney.
Thank you, Dennis. Good morning, everyone, and we're looking ahead to 2014 once again this morning. Our guest is Scottsbluff County Board Chair Mark Masterton, and we're going to discuss things the county will be looking into over the next year. And one of the things, as if you've been following the news, they've been working on is a new home for District 12 probation and a new reporting center. And I know you guys have worked on this for probably a couple of years now, and finally decided that the place to put District 12 probation is across the street in the McConaughey Discovery Center. And you're going to purchase that building for about $220,000. Explain how this came about and how some of that money that you spent is going to come back to you in the form of a grant.
Multifaceted question. Actually, we have started about 2-3 years ago working on what we're going to do with the probation offices. In the past, they've been spread out most all over Gearing, as well as in the county administration building and the courthouse. With the recent developments where the state has handed over 5 employees to us to help take care of the probation, it became obvious that we needed more room. One of the questions that everybody asked, well, why don't you use the old jail in the back? And we did look at that, and that was a viable solution to the problem for a while, but it looked like the renovation of that would be over $500,000, where the McConaughey building, actually just to purchase it was $220,000. So we thought that was a good way to go.
All right. And hopefully through grants that the state is going to, that you're applying for through the state, you'll get some of that money back, right?
We will. The first issue was $39,000, and we hope to get that back. Most of the money we can use to help pay down the debt on that. But it's one of those things where there's the state or federal government, you know, that works. They say
they require you to do this, right?
They do. They say, okay, but we're going to help you out. We're going to give you money. But then the question becomes, okay, you know, the money might last for 2 years, and the job lasts forever. So that's in anticipation of being a problem.
Yeah. So they maybe you may need more money to have extra space for them in the future.
At one time, the state used to take over probation. Now they've given it to the counties.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the comm center, okay? It's been a subject of a little bit of controversy for a while, but you've got everybody now on board with your interlocal agreement other than Gearing. And Mr. Mayo was in here yesterday and said reasonable people should be able to come to a reasonable agreement. Where do you think? I guess you guys have kind of given it to the legal people to kind of negotiate this thing now, right?
We have. You can speak with a little smile and say, you know, you ought to keep politicians out of this kind of stuff, because the news media just thrives on that.
Yeah, we kind of do.
I mean, the county made our point, you know. I mean, we have ongoing issues. There's nothing that says that we have to do the communication center, although, as I spoke to you before the show, that it makes perfect sense to do it. Anytime you can consolidate services like that, it just makes a lot of sense. What we did is, based on population of the communities, we asked each one of the communities to help contribute to not run the operation, but just to buy the radios and the equipment that we need to keep it operative. This year's share, everybody had a share based on what their population was, and we asked them for it. Gearing decided they didn't want to do that, but I think Ed's probably right. Clearer heads shall prevail. You get it out of the hands of the politicians and put it in the hands of people who make deals, and they'll probably come to a solution.
Yeah. Have you guys given them notice about the proper 6-month notice now this time around, or are you working on that?
The first time, apparently our notification was not done properly, so we got slapped on the hands for that, and that's okay. But the deadline will be coming up again, and so the decision still has to be made. It's just delaying the inevitable. I mean, decisions have to be made.
Okay. All right. We'll take a break and talk more after this.
Wireless computer network secure. With their years of professional
all right,
service, you can
corrections, maybe a little bit on roads. I don't know. I ran way late yesterday, so I can't do that again.
Not having a secure wireless network
I'll talk faster.
Okay. You don't have to talk fast. It's up to me to control the program, not you.
Experience tech setup, troubleshooting shoot and
Bring me
secure
back to
your
Vic
wireless
tomorrow. I'll come back.
Tips, information, friend or links on Facebook.
You wanna know more?
Internetworks.net/Facebook.
We're back on News Extra. Scottsbluff County Board Chair Mark Masterton is here to talk about county issues. We've talked about probation and the comm center. Now let's go to corrections. How is the jail working out as far as financially with the federal money coming in and state money coming in? I know that was the plan. Is it working as you wanted to, or have you?
Well, it's not working exactly as we wanted to. Parts of it are. I mean, what we said was that we would build it with partly federal money, and we would take in federal prisoners, and we would take in 50. And right now we're taking in between, or I want to say up to 75. So that's working perfectly, and that's paying down the bond. The problem is that since we built the jail, the crime has increased exponentially in Scottsbluff County, and we're putting our own people in there, and the federal government doesn't pay for that. I mean, we pay for it as taxpayers. And therein lies part of the problem, and that's also part of the problem with the probation issue that we talked about earlier. We've got more and more juveniles and more people on probation, and we just get an overcrowded jail. I mean, we had a 63-bed jail 5 years ago, and now we've got a 186-bed, and we're full again. It's a continual problem.
So do we expand it? I mean, you guys have property there that you purchased for expansion.
Well, we have, but again, that costs money, and money's always an issue. We have looked into adding on to the facility, and we've looked at what they call, technically, it's either lock secure or staff secure. The difference being whether or not, especially in juvenile, whether or not you actually lock the doors. And the judges now across the country, certainly across Nebraska, are saying, we want staff secure, which means that you ask the juveniles not to leave the facility, and sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But locking them up isn't always a solution. But we've looked at adding on, a small wing onto our juvenile to make it staff secure and probably open up another 15 to 20 beds.
All right. Real quick, we've got about 45 seconds to a minute left. Roads. Roads are always an issue for you guys, right?
Roads have been an issue forever. We've got over 800 miles of gravel roads in Scottsbluff County. We've got over 220 bridges, and it's always an issue. It always costs money. Again, as we talked earlier, it's one of those things where you have to pick your priorities and say, this road needs it more than that road, or we've got to fix this bridge, or
South Mitchell Bridge, for example.
South Mitchell Bridge is going to be a problem. State wants it. It's a state bridge now, but they want to give it to us. Problem is, it was built in 1901, and it had wooden pilings underneath it. So, if the state gives it to us, if we build a new one, that's a $4 million project.
Yeah. So you're not too happy about
Well, we're not
taking
looking
it over.
forward to that.
Yeah.
We've told the state, why don't you just go ahead and keep that for a while? We'll
Yeah.
just use it.
All right. So the battle continues, right?
It does.
All right. All right. Very good. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Nice to be here. Thank you, Kevin.